But let's just, again, take a step back and say, like, what do you want your work to be like?
Yeah.
And that also means, what are your responsibilities? And I think as we become more successful, the things that that make the most use of our time tend to change. And we tend to forget that. So as maybe someone becomes more successful in their job, they still think they have to do all the things they were doing to make themselves successful. That's not the case. You've hired people for that now. And so you need to go through your tasks that you're doing and say, is this the best use of my time? But even before that, define what the best use of your time is. So what are your strengths? And how do you, what tasks relate to those strengths? And that might be what brings you the most money at the time. And then what are the things that are really not that valuable use of your time that you should start delegating but still feel responsible for? So basically, you're going through this task list and ranking them and like writing your name next to some, and maybe writing like least, like not as urgent, not as important, not a big use of my time, whatever it is. You're kind of creating this map, then saying, great, now I have all these things that still need to get done, but they don't relate to my strengths. How do I get them done? And so now we can start restructuring how we're showing up to our day and day. And maybe it's also like, hey, this doesn't fit into my week and the calendar that I just built. This thing that I thought was important, where I have to react to this client or this specific ask, isn't that important. Let's move it out another week or a week after that or a week after that. And what tends to happen is we get all the things that we think we need to do, and then we try to figure out how to do them today. Instead, say, these are the hours I have today. This is the most important thing that if I do, I'll feel successful and part of my ideal career and my vision. And everything else, what's the second most important thing? Let's slot that in. What's the third most important thing? Let's slot that in. I still want to work out. I still want to hang out with a friend. I still want to listen to this podcast. Great. Everything else gets moved to the next day. And that's not generally how people are managing their calendars or their to-do lists.
You said something in there that made me think of another question, and it was like, basically, what actually is happiness at work? Because we were talking about doing the to-do lists, getting everything done. Maybe that's closed deals. And I think a lot of people equate just like, oh, well, if I do all these things, then I'll have money and then I'll be happy. It's that like the meme, close deals, ... be happy.
Yeah, that's
right?
it. That's all you have to do.
That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
Right. But it can't be that simple, right? Otherwise everyone would be happy at work, right?
Generally, job satisfaction is 3 different things. It's the actual work that we do. So you have to get some fulfillment from the work that you're doing. Maybe it's challenging in some way, it's novel, it's leveraging some skills that you have, it's allowing you to feel like you're applying some aspect of yourself to the world, maybe even learning. The second piece are the social relationships that you have. So if you're working with people you don't like, or with clients that you don't like, and you don't have any sort of like velvet rope policy for the people you work with, you're probably going to be pretty frustrated and stressed out, no matter how many deals you close. Especially if you feel like you're doing someone a favor at work, or that's a big thing when it comes to, I think, this industry. The third piece is meaning. So what are the things you're actually working towards and for? And as you show up, are you showing up in a way that's authentic to who you personally are? Are you lying? Are you being dishonest? Do you feel pressured to do things that you don't actually want to do professionally? Those 3 things tend to lead to the kind of this bucket of happiness.
So this sort of leads me back to almost the beginning question of how do you guide someone through a moment of career change? Where they're having that, like maybe they're not happy, they're trying to figure out like stay or go. What do those conversations usually look like?
Well, the biggest belief that we just need to dismantle for a second is that you're going to know before you do it.
Okay.
It's generally not the case.
Interesting.
Clarity can come from reflection, and there's some things we can do, things we want to look at. We'll talk about that in a second. But the majority of clarity comes from action. It comes from saying, I have this idea. Now I need to go explore this idea to figure out if it's right for me. So if someone is even thinking about going into this field, you shouldn't just make that decision and go into it and invest a bunch of money. You should go find people that are in the field. You should shadow them. You should ask them questions. You should try it on.
Right.
You go to the store, you try a shirt on if you don't like it,
Right.
And too often we overinvest. And you can even say the same thing for if you're in a field right now and you're curious about something else, what are you doing right now to go explore that field yourself? And so there's the reflection piece, which I think I still want to talk about. But when it comes to actually creating clarity for yourself, you need to try it on. The other piece is you don't generally think something is good for you until you're good at it. And so part of this is also understanding, like, you're not going to feel right doing something if you don't feel like you're actually doing good within it. And that's where that big confidence piece comes in, which is like, do you believe you're capable of it? Awesome, check. But then are you spending time learning the thing that you're going to now have to do? Because if you're picking up the phone every day and calling leads and none of them are converting, none of them are closing, and people are being rude to you, you're going to think, yeah, you're going to think you're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
When you just didn't spend any time figuring out your script or learning from people that actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So then the reflection piece, people tend to get stuck in because they keep answering a lot of the same prompts, but written differently.
Okay.
Because they haven't figured out how to actually take action and explore. So generally, if you're trying to figure out what you want to do next or where you should apply your skills, you should take a look at what you have done. That's just a hint. Mm-hmm. Now, not where you've worked or the jobs you've had, but the skills and the things that you've been a part of. The other piece is, like, what do you value? Like, what fills you up? From your experiences personally and professionally, when have you been the most excited, the happiest, the most in flow? And those are going to hint as well at themes and where you maybe should spend your time in the future. Also, the things you read about, the things you listen to, those hint at interests and passions as well. Like, the thing you do doesn't have to be the thing that you're most passionate about or feel like it fulfills you the most initially, but it should be the thing that gets you excited a little bit, or you feel like it feels like you are applying certain skills that you have, even just a little bit in the beginning, but also it does bring a smile to your face. Like, you're actively interested in learning more about it or doing it when you think about getting paid for something, or maybe in your free time, maybe.
Yeah. I think this is going to resonate with a lot of our viewers because when I'm out there talking to them, I hear a lot of that something's not quite right in my current role, but I know that I'm good at, insert set of skills here. And I like real estate and I like the idea of helping people. And so can I use these skills to do this thing? And when we look at like our most successful customers, a lot of them are like, oh, they came from, literally several of them healthcare, or engineering, or like obviously aspects of sales is big, but they're usually taking pieces of that prior lives and plugging it in with that next evolution of their career to figure out something that works for them a lot better.
I mean, I was also a bartender for 10 years. Well, I was a door guy. It's kind of funny, me as a door guy as a kid. I was bar back, and then I was bartender. And there are aspects of like that career and lifestyle that I use each and every single day, from your presence to your attitude to how you connect with individuals to how you can identify what someone needs, how you're able to upsell in certain instances, and like there are things that I really liked about that, which sometimes people forget, and they maybe transition into a new career and they like let that stuff go. And it's like, no. How do you create that in the current position that you're in now and leverage that skill or that strength and that interest to help you be successful?